Hey guys, it's Albert here. I'm going to be doing another weekly top five kind of look here into what I'm trading. So I'm going to go really quickly over the indices and kind of a bigger look into what we're watching for the week. And then a couple of setups that I like. I posted already a couple on Twitter, but I have a couple more that I wanted to show here. So as always, I'm going to start off on SPY. Analysis is always on the daily time frame. Last time I made this video, we talked about the 420 level here that SPY was testing on the weekly time frame. We broke over that last week and then kind of followed through into this week as well. Now we're above 420. That's going to be the main kind of weekly pivot to watch. So into this area, it makes sense that we're going to slow down and see some kind of like consolidation, maybe a little bit of a pullback on big caps because SPY is a little bit extended here off the low. And it makes sense. The daily's kind of telling us, if you look at the volume patterns, that sellers are stepping in off the highs. You can see the two red days there on a pretty high volume compared to the upside moves. It's kind of looking like we want to retest at least back in 420. From there, we'll have to see what happens. Obviously, you guys should know, but we already have CPI on Wednesday morning and also FOMC on the same day. It's also OPEC's week as well, so option expiration week. So there's going to be a lot of volatility, obviously a lot of impact with news and everything, but kind of getting an idea of what we want to look for early in the week more so than the midweek, because then we have news and data and everything that's going to impact markets. But to me, it seems like big caps, the names that kind of led these moves the past 2 to 3 months are looking to slow down a little bit here. Just from the look of SPY, if we get into Qs, it's very similar look. So Qs is the NASDAQ, the tech index. You can see we had this move here on very high volume to the downside, pretty low volume since we've kind of pushed up to the upside, right? You can kind of see this consolidation on pretty low volume. What this kind of shows me is that the volume patterns are flipping and sellers are trying to kind of get aggressive off the highs here. This doesn't mean we cannot see higher, obviously. Markets are unpredictable, but it does kind of give us an idea that maybe sellers are going to start pressing here a little bit more. And obviously buyers don't really want to buy up here just yet. They're waiting for either pullbacks to better prices or some sort of news, obviously data, FOMC coming up, something like that to kind of give, to get demand back into the markets, right? So it seems like momentum might be slowing down a little bit on the big caps. I'll go over a couple of names that I think look decent for the short side. I don't really love shorting names off the highs, but if the market is going to pull back pretty hard, those are the names that I will be watching. Go over those in a second. Then we have ARK. Momentum names have been pretty strong this month. It's kind of been all momentum and small caps the past week or so. I think ARK, again, is kind of very similar to QQQ and SPY here, kind of starting to top out a little bit. You can see high volume off the highs, right, when we're rejecting, low volume there when we're trying to bounce, and then again, high volume off the reject, off the highs. So again, that means sellers are kind of trying to get involved here into the highs and pull us back. So I'd be a little bit careful. Obviously, again, we could continue to go higher. We have a bunch of data, a bunch of news and everything coming up this week, but this is just for earlier in the week, kind of the look that I'm getting. I think IWM is the only kind of area that still has more juice here, at least early in the week. I think this could has a pretty nice bounce potential early in the week if small caps were to go. Reason why is because we can see we have kind of different volume patterns here. Here we have high volume to the upside, but very low volume as we pulled back the past 2 days, didn't really do much. It looks like price is waiting for the 8-day to kind of push up here, 21-day to push up, right? Kind of get into that area to create some more demand. But we could be seeing a little bit of like a wedge look here and continuation on small caps just based off of the volume. If we kind of continue to get these volume patterns and we're going to get a nice volume day the next day or two, we'll probably continue in the direction of the trend because we had this pretty big base breakout here last week, right? That kind of created this move. So that's what I'll be looking for on IWM. The Dow also looks pretty good. Again, you can see the volume patterns are holding up well. So this is getting good volume as it's moving up. And it seems like some industrial names are still setting up pretty well. I think financials look pretty decent. Again, anything can change and flows change all the time. So it's all a game of finding out where the flows are moving to. So things can change in a heartbeat, right, in a split second. But getting an idea of what we want to look for is very important. So to me, industrials, IWM look pretty good in the beginning of the week. Now we'll get into kind of the top six, top seven that I'm watching into next week. So first of all, to the short side, to kind of give you guys an idea of what I was saying, Microsoft here looks to me like it wants downside. Reason why, right? It had super strong volume patterns here as it was moving up, high volume to the upside. Then it started getting kind of sold off here on high volume, and then the moves to the upside were super low volume. So what's that? What that is telling me is that again, sellers are kind of trying to get involved here off the highs. Buyers don't really have too much of a reason to buy the dips, right? Because we are very extended on this move already here on a name like Microsoft. So they're probably waiting for better prices or some type of news or something to kind of bring back demand. So this is kind of looking a little bit like we want to pull back under this level here at 322. So if the market really does pull back hard, which I'm not thinking it does like super hard, but if we do get a downside follow through move on the Nasdaq, then under 322 would make sense, obviously, for a downside trade, right? Because you have these very kind of small bounce days here that barely kind of hung on to that low there that we put in on Wednesday. And under that, we have a gap to fill. So 315 would be your target. This would be like kind of a shorter term time frame trade. But the same idea here on Google. So these are the two setups I would look for the downside. Again, you can see big kind of rejection off the highs here. Maybe some buyers got trapped at the high there after like kind of having this fake breakout right here. They tried like obviously catching us to the upside, then it rejected, and then they got trapped here, forced to sell. And now there's like constant selling pressure here because this kind of wedge popped a little bit. And you can see again, pretty low volume here as it just consolidates. No big volume off the lows, like no big buyers stepping in. So it might look like we sell off under like 121. That would bring like 116, 114 into the gap, right? Again, not expecting huge trend changes just yet. It could happen. But I do think for now, the downside is more like short to midterm on those names. Now, the long names that I like, as I mentioned, more industrial names. I have a couple of industrial names, a couple of bank names, and also a China name in Baba. I think China names look very, very good. They've been getting good volume the whole week, very similar to like IWM. But we have some pretty good consolidation on them as well. So they haven't really made their move just yet. So Baba here has a triple inside day, which is pretty rare. So this is the candle here that price is trading in the range of. And the low at 85 continues to hold. Obviously, 87 here at the high is resistance. And it looks like if we get some volume and break over 87, this can move back up to 91 pretty fast. So that would be the trade there for me. Over 87 would bring 90, 91 area. So I'm looking for a break over that level. CAT is another one from the industrial side that looks really good. So you can kind of see the volume pattern here broke out of this wedge. High volume patterns as it breaks out, right? And then as it consolidates, low volume, high volume again as it continues to push in the direction of the trend. And then again, consolidating on low volume. So we have 2 days of consolidation on lower volume. 236 would be the trigger area, right? That's like right below the gap here. Used to be previous support here. Now it's acting as resistance. So over 236 would probably at least bring the gap fill to 241. And I think probably 245 as a final target up into this high. That's the look there on CAT. Dash, this name is breaking out of a pretty big base here. And it has a gap to fill here as well at like 73. And then like a pretty big kind of target to the upside here where like the volume cluster is at 83, maybe 80. So if it can follow through, push through 72, I like this one for a move to like 76, 80. This is one that I'm looking to get long via like a swing. 70 would obviously be like the stop loss area. And this is one that I'm probably going to get in early in the week as long as it can break over 72 and hold above. And then lastly are the banks. So I think JPM looks pretty good. This one's been consolidating well. You can see it made this big move on earnings here. So it's still a little bit of like a power earnings gap setup. So PEG. It's been consolidating for a while, right? And it continues to hold into that earnings gap. So it's getting super tight here. If banks continue to move and get flows like they were kind of later in the week, over 141.7 or 142 would be my pivot to trade this one higher. So over this level here, right, that could bring 143, maybe 144, and then like really break out of this cluster here and that could bring like 150 later on. But that's a look there. Goldman Sachs, very similar. Volume patterns also look great, right? This moved up on high volume here, consolidating on lower volume. And now we're kind of sitting under this 338 level. This one also has a double inside day as well. So if it can break out over like 336, maybe even 338, right, get over that, then 347 can come very quick. All right, so those are the looks. Very quickly, just kind of recap those, watching to trade those. Hopefully, you guys found this helpful and can take potential trades off of these names. As I mentioned, news coming up on Wednesday, right? CPI, FOMC, all that good stuff. So be cautious and have a safe trading week.